everybody, welcome to Natty's Home Cooking. Today we are making homemade hamburger helper, the ultimate comfort food. We're going to start off with making a pound of ground beef, grinding it up and, browning it up, and then we'll add in some onions once we get this browned. But first we need to cook this hamburger, and then we'll go ahead and start chopping up some onions. Okay, we're just going to dice up these onions. I don't do a whole onion. I just do maybe not even a half. Just enough to put into the ground beef to give it some flavor. And once you make sure to keep the juices in here. Please don't dump those juices because the juices from the hamburger give it the flavor. You don't want it too full of, if you get a really fatty hamburger, maybe dump out some of that and just leave what, like I have here, a little bit in there to give it the flavor for the onions and the noodles and all that. So, but yeah, I don't know if this was an 80% lean burger meat, but it didn't produce a lot of fat, so which is good. Anyway, we're just going to go ahead and saute these up really good all together, and then we'll start adding in our seasoning. Okay, I'm going to add in some garlic powder, and then we'll add some black pepper. And then we're also going to add in some chili powder. Now, I'm just going to do a little bit at a time because the chili powder is what makes the hamburger helper to taste like it does. So we're just going to do a little bit at a time, and then we'll add more as we go. So just go ahead and mix this up, and then we're going to let it cook together a little bit more. So in the meantime, make sure you have your noodles cooking on the stove, so that by the time you get done with this hamburger and the tomato sauce here, you'll have the noodles to add to it. So I'm just going to do the tomato paste here, and I'm going to add water in the can and pour it into the tomato. Okay, so we want to make sure that this tomato sauce here is not too thick. If it is, just add a little bit more water. All right, so now we're going to do some Velveeta cheese. What I'm going to do is do a few like sticks, or what do you want to call it? I guess chunks of the Velveeta cheese, and I'm going to add evaporated milk. If you don't have evaporated milk, that's fine. You can add whole milk or almond milk, whatever you have is available. I like evaporated milk because it gives it a really good flavor with the Velveeta cheese when I'm cooking it, and I just put it in the microwave. I don't do it over the stove. Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't, but today we're just going to make it super easy and cook it in the microwave and let it melt together. All right. All right, I'm going to add in some tomatoes. Now, you don't have to add in tomatoes if you don't want to. That's fine. It just gives it another flavor to the hamburger helper, but you don't have to add it. Now, when you're cooking that Velveeta cheese, make sure it melts all the way down before you add it into your noodles. So mine's still too thick here, like the chunks aren't melted down, so I'm going to have to add it back in to the microwave. So I'm going to do that real quick. Okay, so I finished up my noodles. Now you're probably wondering why I have different color noodles. Well, that's because I have wheat and the white noodles, because I ran out of the other elbow noodles, the white noodles. So I had wheat noodles, whole wheat noodles on hand that I use for my cooking. Now my husband, he loves the whole noodles, so the white noodles, and this dish is for him. He loves hamburger helper. So we're just going to go ahead and mix this Velveeta cheese into the noodles here before we add it into the hamburger mixture. Now, it's not going to be all like macaroni and cheese like, okay? I mean, it's going to be a little bit more not as cheesy, I guess, is what you want to say. I'm going to add a little bit of tomato sauce. I'm not adding the whole thing. I'm just only doing probably about a half a cup of it, maybe less. So we're just going to mix that around a little bit. Let that cook just a little bit before you add in your noodles. and I already added in my tomatoes. So I want my tomatoes also to cook in here with the hamburger before we add in our macaroni and cheese stuff. Okay, and once that cooks and everything, we'll go ahead and pour in the noodles. So we're going to add those in here. And I didn't add all of them, okay? Because I don't want it to be too macaroni. I want to have kind of like an even portion here. So you probably will have some macaroni left over. Anyway, we're going to mix this up and just mix it all together. Make sure it's all blended up really well. Now, because we added some more ingredients into this, we will add some more seasoning as well as the chili powder. So make sure you're tasting as you go. So you're going to add a little bit more, probably a little more sea salt, more pepper, and then this is where we're going to add in more of that chili powder. Now, I do also add in shredded cheese into this, and I mixed up really well. And I think I did add a little bit more Velveeta cheese chunks into this because it didn't have the flavor that I was looking for the hamburger helper. And that's why I always say make sure you taste it as you go, because if it still doesn't have that flavor that you're looking for, that a hamburger helper would taste like, you're probably lacking the Velveeta cheese, or the chili powder. So right now everything is working great. I'm doing it a little bit at a time. I'm not just pouring everything in all at once. You want to just do it a little bit at a time. So to me, when I'm looking at this and I tasted my hamburger helper here, I noticed that, you know, I'm needing more cheese. I'm needing probably a little bit more chili powder, and I'm going to go ahead and add that in there. Alright, so as soon as we add that chili powder, you can kind of see that the hamburger helper is starting to look more like the hamburger helper we remember. So keep stirring and keep testing your dish here. Make sure that everything tastes right the way that it's supposed to, not too salty, but not too bland either. So you want it to make sure it tastes just right. So that's why I always say make sure you do a little at a time, not all at once. But yeah, guys, this is it. This is a super simple, easy recipe that's made for everybody. Also, if you need to add in more cheese like I am here, add more cheese, because to me it needed more of the cheese to it. So that's why I added more of the Velveeta cheese to it. Alright guys, thanks again for watching my video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I need those likes. So guys, have a wonderful day and God bless.